Lesson 3. Mixing voice with background music. The objective in this tutorial is to record a simple narration, add some background music, cut the narration to fit the music, then lower the volume of the music during the narration, and finally we'll mix and export the final product. Give yourself an hour or so to complete this tutorial. On your first attempt, don't try to create a masterpiece. Don't work on something critical. You're learning and experimenting, exploring the many tools of Audacity offers you. Don't expect to get it perfect on your first time. It really doesn't matter what your narration is about and whether you read it or ad-lib. It also doesn't matter what the music is, but an instrumental track is preferable. You can use the audio files provided on 4U website for this. Click the record button in the transport toolbar, as shown. Record your narration. Click on the downward pointing arrow in the right hand, red recording level meters, and click Start Monitoring. While speaking into the microphone as loudly as you intend, adjust the recording level slider by the microphone symbol on the mixing toolbar, so the recording meters are almost reaching the far right hand side. Unless you are a professional narrator or voiceover specialist, there are probably level volume variations during the narration. Remember, your listeners can't see you, so having a constant volume of your narration is important so that they'll be able to hear and understand everything you're saying. You could go through and manually adjust the volume throughout your narration track using the envelope tool, but there's an easier way. Use Audacity's built-in compressor effect. Click on the track control panel of your narration track to select the entire track and then choose the effect Compressor. The compressor is a complex but very useful effect, so let's take a moment to see how it works. For our first pass, we will set threshold to -12 dB as shown. The noise floor control tells compressor that anything below the level is noise and it shouldn't make it any louder. For now, we'll set the control to -80 dB. The ratio control tells compressor how much quieter it should be and make the loud parts. Set it to 6:1. Set the attack time to 0.5 seconds, and then finally set the release time to 1.0 seconds. These two controls tell compressor how fast it should respond to changes in the volume. Finally, click the OK button and let compressor do its work. Listen back to the result. Import the background music file. Choose File, Import, and then Audio, and open the background music file in what you've chosen. Using the selection tool, click at this point. Choose Edit, Clip Boundaries, Split, and a split line will appear. There are now two clips on the narration track. Similarly, put a split between the second and third portions of the narration. The narration track will now look something like this. Remember, our goal is to cut the narration to fit the music, so our next step is to pick the spots in the background music track where we want these three narration clips to start. Click the solo button on the narration track to turn off the solo function on that track. Click the solo button on the background music track so that you will only hear the track. Identify the point in the background music track where you want the narration to begin. Click at that point with the selection tool, then choose Tracks and add label at selection. Type a name for the label. For example, we'll put First Narration. Similarly, identify the points in the background music track where you want the second and the third narration clip to begin. Then create labels similarly. Your project window should now look something like this. Moving the clips to work with the music. Click the solo button on the background music track to turn off the solo function to that track, so we can hear both the narration and music tracks. Using the time shift tool, drag the third narration clip so that the start of the clip lines up with the third label. Audacity will help you line this up perfectly. When the start of the clip lines up with the third label, a yellow boundary snap guide will light up. Similarly, drag the second narration clip to line up with the second label, and drag the first narration clip to line up with your first label. Your project window should now look something like this. Using the envelope tool, zoom in on the first narration clip. A quick way to do this is double click on the first narration clip, choose View, zoom to Selection, then choose View, zoom out, and then select the envelope tool. In the music track, click to create a control point, a second or two before the narration clip begins. Click to create a second control point just as the narration starts. Drag the second control point down to reduce the volume of the music track. Click in the timeline a few seconds before the start of the first narration clip to hear the effect. Press spacebar to stop the playback. Unless you're very lucky or have planned very well, the music probably goes on for some time after the narration is finished. In this case, you'll want to fade out the music. Decide how long you want the music to continue at full volume after the narration is finished, and how long you want to take to fade out. Using the selection tool, we'll click in the music track at the point where you want the music to be completely faded out. Choose Edit, Select, and then Cursor to Track End. Press the Delete key. Now click at the point where you want the music to begin fading out. Again, choose Edit, Select, Cursor to Track End, and then choose the effect Fade Out. To check for clipping, play back a short portion of the project when the narration background music. Watch the playback level meters. If clipping occurs, the red clip bars will appear at the right hand side of the playback meters. If this happens, use the track gain slider to turn down the volume of both the narration and the music tracks to around -2 dB. If clipping still occurs, turn down the volume of the narration and music tracks to -4 dB. Publishing your Audacity created podcast on the internet in some ways is the most important stage of all. Unless your podcast purely is to entertain yourself, you want others to hear what you have to say. You can use such sites as SoundCloud to host your audio and share with your friends. Hope this tutorial has showed you how to mix voice with background music. Now proceed on to the next tutorial.